What's going on, guys, and welcome to another video. Today, if you read the title, we're going to be talking about 10 things we wish we knew when we were in Bronze Elo. This is kind of overdue because about 4 months ago, me and Nasty, who is also joining me today, we made a video called 10 Things We Wish We Knew When We Were Silver Elo, and you guys really liked it. The video did really well, so this is kind of a sequel to it. We figured why not follow up on this and talk about when we were actually even lower in Bronze Elo. So joining me today is Nasty. In case you guys don't know him, he's a Challenger, now in Master, support main, but he's got a YouTube channel himself. So go ahead and subscribe to him. His link is down in the description. But without further ado, we're just going to jump right into the first thing that I wish I knew when I was in Bronze. Alright, so the very first thing I wish I knew when I was in Bronze was that getting to Diamond was actually just the beginning of climbing, not the end. In other words, I always put Platinum and Diamond players on a pedestal. Like, to me, those players were all gods to me back then. And in a way, they were, because a Diamond or Plat player would absolutely smash a Bronze player, no question. But what I didn't realize at the time was that even Diamond players feel like they have a lot of improving to do. And really, the climb to the top doesn't even come close to ending in Diamond. So, yeah, it would have been nice to know, I guess. I know that you're obviously out of Diamond, so you can definitely attest to this. Do you have a separate opinion, or do you also agree that pretty much the climb starts at Diamond?
I think we've definitely touched on this in the past, but I do agree, and I think that's just because no one really becomes content with their rank. Everybody has this idea goal that they want to get to. You know, maybe somebody wants to get out of silver, maybe somebody wants to just get out of gold, but no matter where you are among the ranks, it's never going to be good enough. You know, I wanted to get to Diamond. Once I got Diamond, I wanted to get Master. Once I got Master, I wanted to get Challenger. No one ever is just satisfied with what they got. People always want to get higher, and that's why Diamond really isn't the end goal.
Yeah, that's like half of what I meant is like, yes, you're never going to be mentally satisfied no matter what rank you are. But I guess the other part of my point is that once you get to Diamond, that's when like the actual climb begins. And that might just be, I might be a little bit biased because I'm stuck in Diamond, but I never really felt like I was that stuck until I got to Diamond. Like, that's really where that's what separates like a casual player from someone that takes this game seriously. And so like, you're really not going up against people that care about the game and how good they are until Diamond, at least in my opinion. But you know,
so I'm not too sure about you, Heisman, but I know personally for me, when I was in Bronze, I did not value runes nearly as much as I should have. You know, I was just always trying to get that next champion. Every time I saved up enough IP, I was always looking for what champion I was going to buy, and I was never really prioritizing runes. And, you know, now looking back at it, I realize how stupid that was, because I now know how important runes really are. You know, saving my IP to get the correct rune pages, you know, maybe looking at pro builds, see what they're taking in their rune pages, and trying to make myself a better player by just first having the basics down, rather than just trying to buy new champions.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because thinking back to when I was in Bronze and even Silver, I guess, but mainly Bronze, I definitely didn't place a high value on like the out-of-game preparation for in-game. Like, I never went into, I never used like other tools like Champion Select to like see like counter matchups. Like, I never op.gg'd anyone. And I didn't take runes seriously, which is the point that you brought up. I like would use the most suboptimal runes in the world, and like I just didn't think it would have that much of an impact on the game. But the truth is, that has a huge impact. Like, if you watch it on the pro level, if one person fucks up their masteries, like, it's almost good game. I remember that happened like two worlds ago. One of the players accidentally took the wrong keystone or the wrong masteries, and everyone was like, oh, that's game. Like, they're not going to be able to win now. Like, it really does make a huge impact on the game, and I feel like that's something you don't place a high value on when you're new to the game. Runes and masteries are extremely important, and a lot of Bronze players, myself included, just never took it seriously. Alright, so the next thing I wish I knew when I was in Bronze is that there's way more to this game than getting kills or making cool outplays or simply winning the lane. I feel like I had this mindset in Bronze and all the way through Gold that if I can outplay my opponents, then I can beat my opponents. But that's obviously not true. I knew there was an element of macro to the game, but I didn't realize how much more of an impact that aspect of the game played on the outcome, as opposed to just stomping your lane and getting kills and outplaying. That stuff is what makes the game fun, but it's not what's going to win you the game and ultimately climb. I think microplay does matter, but I just think macro matters way more. And so I guess to simplify, I just wish I would have focused more on learning the game from a strategic point of view, as opposed to trying to climb simply by being a mechanically skilled player. It might have set me up for more success now that I'm here in Diamond if I did focus on that instead. you are a support main. I'm not sure if you were always a support main. That probably forced you to be more of a macro player, even when you were in the lower elos to climb. So you might agree, but from like a different point of view, because yeah, I just feel like I'm personally all about mechanics when I was getting better, and it definitely hinders me even now as a player because my macro is just so underdeveloped compared to a normal diamond player.
Absolutely. I think it's pretty clear that throughout the league community, there's a lot of greedy players and a lot of players that just prefer to stick to the outplay potential of the game rather than, trying to secure objectives and trying to win the game through a macro perspective. And yeah, I agree that because I'm a support main, I've never really had that outplay potential quite as much. So I have focused on the macro a lot more. There are too many people, especially in the bronze elos, that focus too much on getting kills. And I think it's just a really important reminder to, tell yourself that getting 20 kills above the enemy team is going to win you the game. In the end of it, it's getting that enemy nexus. Only way to get to that nexus is by taking down towers, taking other objectives, Baron, dragons. Those are the things that are ultimately going to win you the game, not getting a 20 kill advantage over the enemy team.
Exactly. And I never understood that when I was in lower elo, and I tried to climb simply by being a better player mechanically than my opponents. And I think there's like there's just a myth kind of in lower elo that like if you can stomp your lane and then you can carry, that's just like not the case, especially not in this meta. Like you have to understand the game on a little bit more of a strategic level in order to climb now. And I really wish I knew that when I was in lower elo, and I think a lot of you in lower elo like bronze need to hear that now.
All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the one subject that a lot of people are not going to want to hear, and that is you're not in bronze because of your teammates. And this goes back a little bit to what we were saying about how, before diamond, it's kind of all just like a learning experience. You're not going to really be all that great at the game, and the climb doesn't really start until, diamond, around that area. And I just want to emphasize on the fact that when you're in bronze, I know personally, when I was in bronze, I always thought it was my teammates' fault. I should have just been trying to learn more and improve myself rather than looking to blame other people.
One of my points is exactly like that. So I'm going to respond to that by talking about my next point, which piggybacks off of that, which is I wish I knew when I was in bronze that there is no such thing as elo hell. And that's coming from someone who's been in an elo for nearly 3 years. And I think if you could call any elo hell, it would be low diamond. Most people that get stuck in low diamond. With that being said, though, I don't believe the concept of elo hell exists. It's a myth, and if you disagree with me, that's fine, but there's nothing you can really do to argue against that. Bad teammates, trolls, ragers, I've said before and I'll say it again, these don't magically disappear just because you're in higher elo. And even if you found a way to prove that bronze elo has more trolls and just overall terrible teammates than other elos, you're instantly going to get proven wrong by the fact that statistically speaking, if you yourself play the game well and don't troll or rage or whatever, you have a higher percentage of not having a troll compared to the other team. It goes both ways. If bronze is so terrible, that means the other team is also terrible, and by being a good player, you only have 4 chances of having a bad player on your team, whereas the other team has 5 chances. Elo hell is a concept that I firmly believed in for the longest time, and I regret wasting a breath even complaining about it. There's nothing I wish I knew more in bronze than that. Elo hell is fake, and I think that goes off of what you said pretty well, so that's why I wanted to say that now.
So next up, I want to talk about something that could be a little bit more debatable. Maybe you have a different opinion on this than I do. I think that in bronze, I shouldn't have played meta champions. I should have just played what I was comfortable with and what I enjoyed playing. In my opinion, I just don't think that meta picks matter too much in lower elos, because what's going to decide those games is who knows how to play their champions better, and that's where the outplays are going to come from. Meta picks, in my opinion, they matter so much more in higher elos because everybody is a lot better. So those small margins in which champion is better is going to make a larger difference.
I mean, I agree and disagree because, like, I do agree that comfort pick is more important than meta pick. But if you can get a meta pick to be your comfort pick, then that would be, like, ideal, in my opinion. So, like, while I do agree that you don't want to be like so caught up in the meta, especially in low elo where it's not quite as impactful, because the reason why they're meta is because people understand what makes them better and they abuse that. Not everyone's going to know that in bronze, so you absolutely have a point. But at the same time, if you can get a meta champion to be a comfort pick, then by the time you do start to learn the game and climb, now you're in a much better position to succeed because you already know a very viable champion. And that leads me into the next point I want to talk about, which is kind of generic in a way, but basically I wish I knew that being good at tons of champions is not more beneficial than being great at just a few. I think when you're new to this game, it's definitely important to have at it with as many champions as possible, because I think that will help you not only learn the game, but pinpoint where you are best at and which champions you seem to thrive at. But I think by the time you start trying to climb the ranked ladders, it's time to drop this desire to continually learn new champions and find that one champ that you just carry yourself out of low elo with. I see a lot of players with this mindset, and I myself was the same way. I was trying out top laners, mid laners, AD carries, and I never really settled on a specific champion or role. Now, back when I was in Bronze in Season 3, it wasn't really as important because you didn't select a role, you just went by pick order. But even then, focusing on mastering a few champions is far and away the best strategy to climb. Do you have an opinion on that, Nasty?
Yeah, so once again, this goes right back to our point about how Bronze, these lower ranks are just meant for learning the game. It's all meant for a learning experience. And in those ranks in Bronze, I think what everybody should really do is try to figure out what champions they are good at, what champions they like to play, what style they like to play. I think at first you probably should play a lot of champions, but once you kind of get a feeling for what you're good at, what you enjoy playing, narrow that down and try to stick to a few champions. The next thing that I wish I knew when I was in Bronze Elo is how much CS mattered. And I know this is something that has been, emphasized on quite a bit in the League community, but just in case somebody hasn't heard it before, I want to just bring it up real quick. I did some research. About 15 to 16 CS is equal to 1 kill. And that is a really undervalued number. A lot of people in the lane phase just look for kills nonstop. They'll look to take over-aggressive trades instead of farming, when in reality, you can gain advantages over your lane opponent just by farming. If you can get a 30 CS lead over your lane opponent, that's a 2-kill lead. That's 600 gold in the pocket that you have over the enemy team.
No, this is a really important one. Like, I heard a lot of better players talk about this. Part of the reason why people in low elo don't CS as well is partially because they just can't time their last hits. But I think a larger part of it is that they just don't understand the importance of CS. Like you said, LS is probably like one of the better Korean coaches out there. He talked about how like he's more impressed when he sees someone take over a lane CS wise as opposed to kills, because it shows a lot more discipline and macro intelligence if you're able to zone your opponent off and just focus on getting a farm advantage. And I think in lower elo, like it does seem like it's all about killing. Like kills seem to be where everyone tries to get their advantage on, and that is just simply it's just a bad habit to get into. That's not to say that kills can't win you games. They can. If you get 3 kills in your lane opponent, you're obviously going to be able to carry, but I think it's just a bad habit to get into, because it's not going to be that easy to solo kill your opponent when your opponent actually knows like what they're doing. And like once you get in a higher elo, you can't just abuse your mechanics. Take that from me. You can't abuse your mechanics to try and win a lane. You have to win through understanding lane pressure and wave control, and that comes down to CSing. So definitely get in the habit now of focusing on how you are going to have a CS advantage over your opponent.
It's for sure not the most exciting aspect of the game. Not everybody just wants to sit in lane and try to get a farm advantage, but again, it is really effective and it can go a long ways in winning you a game.
All right, so moving on to the 9th thing I wish I knew in Bronze Elo is I wish I knew to just embrace it. Embrace being Bronze. Because the truth is, the most fun times you'll experience in League is right now getting to see yourself grow as a player. Being in Bronze means you have so much to learn and so many opportunities to grow as a player. And looking back, I miss being in that spot. Embrace being bad. Embrace being new to the game. Embrace being toward the bottom, because that is when you'll have the most fun. Of course, it's still fun to try and improve in Diamond, but there's so much less you can improve on a game-to-game basis, and that takes a lot of the excitement out of each game, at least in my opinion. So sometimes I do wish I could go back to being new to this game and just being pumped to see myself grow as a player.
Just hearing you say that, it brings me back to flashbacks of the first time that I used Hourglass efficiently. I was ecstatic. I don't know why. That memory still stays with me till this day. Just that learning curve of League of Legends that I was able to experience was just so much fun. And I do really think that that's when I had the most fun with this game. And that kind of goes with the idea of once you play this game a long time, you kind of get stuck into an elo that you belong in, where your skill level fits into. which brings on another challenge. You're not so much learning the game, but you're trying to improve. Once again, yeah, just learning the game, that's when the game can actually be the most fun.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people might say the same thing. It's just when you think back to being low elo, you take it for granted because you're so eager and so like mad at the same time when you can't get out. All you want to do is get out of low elo and be a high elo player. But then once you become a high elo player, I feel like the excitement does seem to drain a bit. And now obviously I'm only in diamond, you got to challenger, so it's a big difference to say I'm in high elo and to say you're in high elo. Two separate concepts, but at the end of the day, like I'm speaking to the bronze players, the silver players, even some gold players. Like, trust me, when you get to platinum, diamond, and even higher than that, like, you're gonna wish you were back to bronze at least a little bit, because you will kind of miss like being new to this game and just having a lot to learn. So don't take it for granted. If you're in bronze, embrace it.
So finally, the last thing that I wish I knew when I was in bronze elo is that practice really does make perfect with this game. And I know a lot of people are tired of hearing that in their everyday life. You know, this could be applied to practically anything. But with a game as diverse as League of Legends, practice really does make perfect. You have to play this game a lot to understand all the different aspects of it. There's jungle camps, there's towers, there's 10 champions on the Rift, there's different item builds, masteries, keystones, runes. Like, there's so much that goes into this game. You just have to continue to play and learn all the different aspects of it. And once you're able to do that, then you'll be able to start climbing. But I wish I had known when I was in bronze that I just need to play this game a lot more to understand it before I can expect something out of myself.
I think that's a really good point to end on as well, because that's really all you can do to get better at the end of the day. Like, watching these videos, going and watching other people talk about how to get better at League, you're never going to be able to really internalize all of that by just listening. The only way you're actually going to improve is by applying that knowledge, by going and playing a lot of games. So to say practice makes perfect is an understatement, because, I mean, that's kind of what makes League of Legends such a fun game, in my opinion, is that, like, it's so complex that, like, you can play 1,000 games and still not even be close to figuring out all the little micro complexities to this game. So just get out there. If you're in bronze, just go play more games. Be attentive to your games. Don't play on autopilot, or else you'll severely delay your learning process. You have to be paying attention to what's going on and trying to figure out, like, what went wrong, what went right, and not just playing, like I said, on autopilot. It's just another bad habit to get into. So yeah, get out there, go play some games, because that's the only way you're really going to improve. But the fact that you're listening to this video is definitely a step in the right direction. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Nasty, for helping me with the 10 points. I just like having your perspective, and I like the points you bring up. So yeah, that's going to end today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope some of these points did raise some new light bulbs in your head, and they weren't all stuff that you had already thought of. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. Check out Nasty, link in the description. Subscribe to my channel if you are new here. And as always, I'll see you guys later.